going to be doing some trail maintenance again, or the trail maintenance is always a continuous thing. Oh my god. So we thought while we work, we might as well do the Q&A video.
Stage 2 of Colin McCraig coming in hot. Got 2 clicks left, 2 clicks right. Yeah, tight corner coming up on the inside.
Closed course professional drivers, don't do that at home. Yeah, so another subscriber actually sent in these questions. He's got his own YouTube channel, Cruising with Chris. Go and check that out. So their plan is to get roof ready. It's Chris and a mate of his. They're planning to get roof ready in 2 years. So they sent us about 12 questions on what we think you need to, you know, start out in enduro and what you need to ride, do races. So yeah, stick around for the questions.
And what do we know?
Yeah, our limited knowledge. This is just our personal opinions. Obviously there's many ways to skin a cat, so just take it with a pinch of salt, and we're gonna try and have some fun with the video, so stick around. How about a Danny for the boys? Hey, that's the way to start the day. So first question, well, look at these beautiful donut tracks here. First question, so you bought a bike, what do you do now? Do you join an enduro club or do you do outrides?
So I think first thing, having a bike, one of the hardest thing is just to make sure you can get it to where to ride. So when I've got my first bike, I didn't have a bike yet. So I did a lot of scouting out in the area I stayed in, which was Arini. I saw there's a lot of, like, I don't know, bicycle trails, and I see Oaks riding. So I spent a lot of Saturdays cruising around looking for spots to go and ride. So it made it quite easy. Started riding in the neighborhood, started running into other riders, and that's essentially how we actually started our own group, is running into different riders and then adding them to a group. So if you see someone riding in the trails or anywhere for that matter, like, stop. Everyone's normally super friendly. Chat to, like, say, where are you riding, what are you riding, what's your interest, and then just take their numbers, make a point to follow up and put them on a group. So that's a good start. That's how we started. What's the vraag here? I have a dirt bike then.
Yeah, what now? So joining clubs or doing outrides? Yeah, it's basically so, what you said pretty much touched on everything.
I also did, like, a lot of, on Facebook, you see Oaks riding, comment, say where you're Oaks riding, what type of riding you're doing, jump in. It's always a little bit intimidating, like just hooking into a group that's riding and you've never ridden with them, you don't know what they're riding. So maybe try and find something that's maybe less technical, and you can just less technical, and you can just go and cruise with the guys just to see what their skill levels are. But it's always intimidating. But I've never gone to a place where Oaks have just left you and said, like, well, you're too slow or you don't ride well enough, like, we'll leave you behind. They'll always help you. They'll always figure out which way to go. Might be a last ride with the guys, but doesn't matter. There's always someone else that's worse than you are, slower than you are, that also just wants to learn. So don't be afraid of chatting to any Oaks on a bike. I often ride my car and I see a guy with a bike, I'll stop and I'll ask him. If I see the Oaks filling up at the garage, I'll stop. Hey, where are you riding? Where are you doing this? And then you'll start, like, I'm on 6 different bike groups that I only added myself to one that I started. The rest, everyone just adds you. So it's something that will just start rolling and you'll cruise with that. Sorry, that's a shitload of information.
Yeah, I literally have nothing of value to add to that, except for, like, the 1% of my viewer base that's American. A truck. It's called a bakkie in South Africa.
Man. Get a truck.
Or a ute,
and
or
don't
whatever.
Be the guy that has a bike ramp and he needs 16 Oaks. Just, you open the flap, you lift the bike and you put it up. That's as easy as that.
Yeah, so back to the question, what riding gear do you need? Helmet, boots, obviously a nice set of pants and a jersey, knee braces or knee guards, shin guards, especially if you're going to be doing hard enduro stuff. That's pretty essential because you're going to hit your shins. I actually hit my shin on a rock through the shin plate on the boots and the shin guard that I was wearing, and I still messed my leg up pretty bad. Chest protector, well, it's actually called a roost guard, and it's for that purpose, to stop the roost from messing you up, but not essential. Neck brace, I wouldn't really say that's essential to me. I find that the chest guards, especially like the full, what did you call it, like
full
a
bodysuit,
yeah. It's pretty restrictive, as well as the neck brace. To me, it's pretty restrictive, so I don't ride with it. A lot of professional riders don't use it either, so but that's just my opinion.
So my take is, like, never ride without boots, gloves and a helmet. Like, I would wear a lot less stuff, but those are the 3 essential items I would never not ride with. So that's like super important. And then the next big one for me is knee braces or knee guards. Like, you'll just feel so much more confidence riding with that, because you don't have to worry about your knees bumping on the side of the bike or on the rocks or anything to that extent. And then, yeah, in the beginning we rode with full body suits. You know, you think you need everything, full body suits and whatever. But over time you just start riding with less and less, because especially for hard enduro and the tech stuff, you get so hot. So try and ride with as little as possible. So even in your backpack, you want to make sure you have water, and if you're going for a long ride, snacks. But other than that, as little as possible. I don't ride with a chest plate anymore. I don't ride with elbow guards anymore. But when you're learning, definitely my opinion is, don't go for a full bodysuit. Get nice comfortable elbow guards that don't sit too tight, because they can mess with your pump arm or whatever. Get something that doesn't have netting in between, so it's nice and breathable. You just want to, you don't want to overheat up in the mountains. It's really not fun.
Yeah, and another thing to consider, I think, is it depends where you're at in your journey. What's your experience level? Beginners, you crash a lot, so having the extra gear could be beneficial. But with hard enduro specifically, you never really like going at super high speeds. If you're doing cross country stuff, yes, wear neck brace, maybe wear a roost guard, because it's not fun getting roosted, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and you'll start learning what's better. So yes, obviously goggles. For any sort of GXEC or fast racing stuff, then normal standard goggles is the best option. But for hard enduro, if you're doing a lot of tech stuff, that quick snap, quick snap levers is really excellent, because you just want to pop it off, get a bit of air on your face. You're going slow, there's no dust, so you ride and then pop them back on as soon as you pick up some speed.
Yeah, that about sums that up.
Was it built by humans, or was it built by ancient aliens?
How do aliens look?
I think you got it pretty spot on. So the bridge is looking pretty decent. So Andrew's gonna test it once, boy. So now here comes the alien. To the back. Structural engineers.
Yeah.
So next question. Oh, this is sketchy. Let me just sit down before Zane starts doing rally again. Wind's probably gonna be mad. Next question. Where do you find out about rides and races? Facebook, on the WhatsApp groups, and racecontrol.co.za. All of the sanctioned events, or most of the events, are on there. So check that out. I'll have it linked down below in the description. This is a little technical section on the sprint enduro track. There's a nice rocket launch over there.
Shout out to Andrew for ripping the trails for us and bringing us all the walking sticks. And then go dip down and out. And that's onto the fast stuff again. So Zane, quick fire, what do you need at a race?
Well, a bike, that's important. Definitely fuel, a couple of spares, extra if you're riding tires or tubes, make sure you got some spare tubes just in case. A couple of tools, just do your race prep beforehand, even the morning of. Water, ice, beer, drinks afterwards, like you gotta have that stuff. Food, gazebo, like stay out of the sun, man.
Yeah, sunblock.
Chairs to sit on, like whatever is gonna make you comfortable. Literally, whatever the average Afrikaner does when he goes fishing and he sits by the lake, that would replace the fishing shit with bike stuff, and you'll pretty much be sorted.
Yeah, you can even bring your tent if you want to.
Right, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Anything.
Obviously you want to make it as comfortable as possible for the people that are going to be pitting for you, and yeah, make sure you have enough hydration.
Pit crew is always a mission, because you want to get someone out to help you. Your wife wants to support you, but they don't want to sit there and do nothing, so make sure it's comfortable for them. Bring some music, get the vibes going.
Yeah, and like I don't know how it is now after the COVID stuff. Well, the last race I was at, the vibe was still pretty good in the pits. You know, that's kind of the people that make the event. It's not just the riders, it's the spectators and the pit crews. Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything that you need to bring to an event. First aid kit, important. Even though there is usually medical staff, first aid kit, it doesn't hurt to have that. Okay, done with the sprint enduro track. Next question, this one's gonna be shaky.
Do you need someone to pit for you?
Oh, you don't need someone. Essentially, like, you're not supposed to be resting or chilling in the pit, so you can just smash laps. I mean, if you're not riding professionally, just take the few minutes to fuel your bike and to eat something or whatever. Like, don't sweat the 30 seconds or 2-3 minutes you're losing in the pits. Will probably make up a bit of rest, and you'll probably pick it up somewhere on the track. But yes, it is a hell of a lot nicer if you do have someone pitting for you. I mean, as simple as just parking, handing you something to chow, throwing cold water down your back, that normally feels amazing.
Yeah, and someone to fuel the bike up for you.
Yeah, so
especially like Zane and myself, we don't believe in running kickstands on our bike. So you have to hold the bike, or someone has to hold the bike while you refuel it. The theory behind the kickstand thing is, why should I have a kickstand on my bike if I can just lean my bike against someone else's? So yeah, as long as one guy in your group has a kickstand, then you can just like pile all the bikes up against his.
Yeah. Or just close the tap, lay it down, or just don't stop riding, just keep riding.
Yeah,
that's the best option. But yeah, pit crew is great. Got someone to refill while you can maybe stretch off or cool down or rest. So that's definitely a nice benefit. You don't need any pit crews. Luckily in South Africa, the sport is such a lacquer family sport that you can hook up with any other pit crew. So if you're alone, like, don't be shy, like there's always someone sitting in the pit. So, you know, just group up with them, say, cool, can you pit? We've had some wonderful support in the past where oaks are literally like, oh, I see you don't have a pit crew, I'll pit for you. So yeah, just engage with the community, and I'm sure you're gonna have a good time in any race, with or without a pit crew.
Yeah, the people at the races are super friendly and they very, very into it. So yeah, take advantage of the opportunity to make some new mates.
Yes!
Wat is aan die ander kant as hy pivot zijn? so next question. We're here on the Hot Enduro Trail. 3 questions in one. Using a GPS at an event, how does it work? What GPS do we recommend? And they've seen some people using 2 GPSs. Why do they do that?
So, I mean, based on just what I've sort of like looked at and learned, I haven't ridden enough with the GPS, but I find the TX, no, sorry, what is it?
The Etrix
The
10.
E-Trex, yeah, the E-Trex 10 is good enough, and most of the brackets accommodate it, and then most of the guys are going on the E-Trex 20 and even 30, which is just a little bit of an upgraded unit essentially. And then running 2 units, one would be zoomed in quite close, so for your tight technical stuff, and one is zoomed further out, so that you get a bit more perspective of what direction you're going in and when the faster flowier stuff. So it just allows you to not have to go into the settings and move in and out. Another good trick I saw is the guys cutting off the back of a pen, a standard big pen, and they pop it in around a little joystick button, and that just keeps it from when your chest hits the handlebars that you don't change the settings on your GPS. A nice little trick to use as well.
Nice. I did not know that. And lastly, with the events, how it works is, let's say Enduro World is hosting an event. They'll send out the GPS maps prior to the event, and then you can just load them and then you can run it on the day. So the next question, would you recommend riding a beginner track like an enduro track, or would it be better to build some skills on a motocross track first? I'm gonna say right off the bat, riding an MX track is not really gonna relate to enduro stuff. If you're like a freshie on a bike, like you don't know how to ride a bike at all, fine, go punt around like a circle track. But I would say just jump in and start riding stuff. Ride with people that are more experienced than you, that can kind of help you and guide you through the techniques and all that stuff.
Yeah, so essentially any riding is good riding, and you'll learn something wherever you are. So even if you're doing a couple laps on MX, like it's good to get the skills like cornering, braking, that sort of stuff. For enduro, like one of the big things I only learned after riding gnarly stuff is to just sort of idle and balance over like tricky obstacles and stuff, and it should be something that you don't ride very often. It's like new virgin terrain and you're going really slow, balance and ride over it, because essentially if you do fall there, you're not going to break anything, and it's going to teach you the balance and the basics that you need.
Yeah, like Willie and Andrew over here, we're punishing them while we're marking the route. We're forcing them to ride all the gnarly stuff. And how are you finding it so far?
Tough.
Yeah?
For more. I don't have words.
If you go and ride and you want to progress, try to ride objectively, like do one-handed drills or figure eights when you start riding to get the cornering technique and stuff down. And as you progress, try to constantly push yourself, push your limits just marginally, so you don't kill yourself, but you'll continue the progression.
Get to that point where you're running out of steam, and then just push a little bit through that every single time. Don't like stop doing outrides where you're riding for 6 hours and you're resting for 4. Like do a 3-hour ride without resting. Like that's going to teach you more skills, more endurance than anything else. So as you start riding, stop resting, like make your intervals, riding intervals longer, faster.
Yeah. Unprofessional advice.
Yeah.
This was almost my
Very
fault.
unprofessional.
Alrighty, so we're pretty paced. We're done with the loop for the day. The next question is, what do you carry with you on a race? Like hydration pack, tools, and so on. And then to elaborate on that question, what do you put in your hydration pack? And what tools do you carry? What spares do you carry? Basically whatever is going to go in your bum pack or your backpack.
So I mean, for outrides I would probably pack a bit more. I always take like a bit of binding wire, cable ties, always, you know, just the general things, but you need to think about obviously keeping it as light as possible. So I've got a little first aid kit that I put in my filter box, gas tape extra levers and stuff, or inside of the to the subframe inside of the filter box. So that's like a good way of keeping some weight down, maybe 1 or 2 spanners. So you want to keep your backpack light. Food wise, like I'm enjoying the Woolworths. It's essentially just fruits that are all in a little squeegee bag that you can just squeeze in, so that works nicely.
Yeah, you can also zip tie those to your handlebars, so as you go through the pits you can chow one and then
yeah, so zip tie, or even use elastics that you just wrap around and they sit there, so it's easy to get to. And then I just normally do a little bit, like a very light mix of like Powerade or Energade or something. I put a bit of salt in just to make sure, like, you know, just to help for cramping. And I normally run quite nicely with that. For a race, you would expect to do as much sort of maintenance and as necessary, so you shouldn't need any tools unless something breaks. So depending on what type of race you do. So hard enduro, yeah, maybe rather carry some stuff with you.
yeah, gear lever, brake lever, shift, extra brake pedal, rear brake pedal if you can.
We've had in the years we've ridden here, we've had some tires, we had to do some tire repairs. The rest was all like sort of small minor cosmetics and stuff like that. We had a chain come off the other day that was completely jammed, and we literally had to take the swing arm off to get the chain out. And yeah, we didn't have the tools for that, but I mean, you can't prepare for everything.
Yeah, but for the most part, just anything that can prevent cramps, anything that can, you know, put some electrolytes back in, like Zane, you add salt.
Yeah,
salt. I run rehydrate, but I mean it's essentially the same thing because it's got what do you call it? Yeah, and all the good stuff in it.
Yeah, and there's lots of tricks. So take duct tape and you can tape it around your handlebars, so that if you ever need duct tape, you can just wrap it from your handlebar and reuse it. Yeah, cable ties are always good to have around. Binding wire, so if the cable tie is not going to cut it. Yeah, just I mean, you get these dual spanners, that's a 10 and a 12 or a 14 and a whatever, so see what works for your bike. Light little toolkits that you get now. I bought this nice little one that's got almost everything in, and it weighs virtually nothing. You don't want to carry a shitload of stuff on your back.
Yeah.
That's gonna kill you on a long ride, so keep it light.
Yeah, you strap your toolkit to the triple clamps on the bike.
Yeah, so pull the number plate off, I strap it in there. It's easy to get to when I really need it. Other than that, like, try and tuck anything anywhere onto the bike and keep the weight off your body.
Okay, next question. Fueling strategy, and is it worth having a long range fuel tank? It depends what kind of race it is. For like the EWXCs, you usually don't need to refuel because it's not like flat out racing, so you don't use as much fuel. On the farm jams and like the 424 race series, that's kind of like a cross country type of thing. So over there, he's having fun. With the cross country races, I tend to refuel on the second or third lap, and then you just refuel once in a race. And for me, a long range fuel tank, like the KTMs, the older KTMs, they come standard with a 9-liter fuel tank, which is decent. Or you can throw like a 12-liter tank on, but it's also, if you're going to be doing hard enduro, it's not really worth carrying the extra weight for me.
So long range fuel tank, I mean, it's really the biggest benefits is if you're doing big out rides where you're doing like 80-90 kilometers where there's no fuel stations and stuff around. So that's like really where I would consider a long range tank. Other than that, for racing, I mean, splash and dash, like if you're not a pro, like you want that little bit of rest time anyway, so just work out your tank, and most tanks can do like 60 k's, so you know, just work out what the loop distance is, and are you going to fill up on the second or third lap, or whatever suits you best. But I mean, usually, like I consider the EWXC, the loops I need 17 kilometers, so like you could easily get 3 or 4 loops in before you start running out of fuel.
What are the essentials on an enduro bike? What do you think are essentials?
Definitely endurance, and basically all your protection stuff, because my, what do you call it,
Chain guard.
not the chain guard, the disc or the brake, as I'm riding, the back brake goes like this because it's bent.
Oh, bent out, yeah.
What are we talking about?
Definitely
Protection parts.
Yeah, protection parts.
Yeah, definitely front and rear disc guard. I think that's a must. I've bent a couple of discs. Yeah, swing arm guard's always good to try and keep the bike a bit neat and tidy. Radiator braces is a must. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have for the longest time, and it looked like a Sasko bread that was carried around in a backpack. Yeah, and yeah, radiator brace is a must, because you don't want to bust your radiator out on the trails, because you can't do anything essentially after that.
Yeah.
If you don't like blowing out your exhaust, definitely exhaust protection.
Yeah, like this hide guard, the carbon guards don't really work. The hide guards are alright, or getting an exhaust cage.
So
The frame guards and swing arm guards, but they're not essential if
So-
you don't care too much.
So hide guards are like quite nice to ride with, because they slide over the obstacles. But I ride quite aggressively, and I don't really care much about my bike, so they don't last. So I've gone with the cage. The cage definitely, since I've put it on, it obviously keeps the pipe fresh, but it does put a lot of strain on the rest of the frame as well. So you need to keep that in mind. But yeah, if you want to be changing your pipe, put a cage on. Stop worrying about, oh, it's metal that's going to hook everywhere. Just go faster, and either the rocks are going to break or you're going to go
And
over.
it doesn't catch mud.
Yeah, Zane tends to break the rocks, but yeah, those are pretty much the essentials, and maybe ignition cover and a clutch cover. Definitely a clutch cover, or like a billet aluminium clutch cover, because it happened to me on 2 occasions where you tip the bike over and then it smashes a nice little hole in the clutch cover, and then you can't finish a ride.
Park busters definitely work today. They were just rock busters though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And these bad boys, hand guards. If you value your levers, put them
And
on.
your extremities.
Yeah, and your fingers. And then the last question: what's the best enduro bike?
Better, because it's better than the rest. Mine.
Yeah, yours.
Whatever I'm riding.
My opinion, the bike that you have. Just ride what you have, practice, get the seat time. Don't worry if it's a KTX 200 or a KTM 300 or a KX 250 or a CR 250 or whatever. Just ride.
Any bike is an enduro bike. Faster you go, whatever. You might break more stuff, but it doesn't matter what it is. As long as it's running, it can go anywhere. Like, they've proven, like, the bikes we ride today are 10 times better than the bikes they used to ride, and they used to ride the same stuff. So just ride better.
Yeah, work on your skills. Don't worry about what bike you ride. You can even take a fucking postie delivery bike and go do hard enduro. But yeah, shout out to Andrew for hooking us up with a lot of sticks to finish the marking. And to Willie from TR Enduro. Check out TR Enduro on the socials and YouTube. They put in the hours to ride the lines for us. So if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to post some questions, post them in the comments down below, or shoot them through to us on social media. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, Marindas Media or the Bronx, and then we'll throw another Q&A video together. Ask us literally anything. We'll try and answer it.